Mr. Vishesh Chandra, Madam Chairperson, Mrs. Malvika Rai, distinguished speakers, guests, faculty members, and dear students. On behalf of IILM, I wish you a very good morning and a very warm welcome to the Family Business Management Conference. Thank you so much for taking out your time to be a part of the conference. I would now like to present to you very briefly about IILM and some of the lesser known aspects of IILM. With a more than 20-year-old heritage, IILM is well recognized for providing quality education both at the postgraduate as well as the undergraduate levels. Our programs are well recognized for their international linkages, very strong industry engagement, and a student-focused environment. In fact, we can boast of the first and the most successful foreign degree program running since 1996, which is our undergraduate program in collaboration with the University of Bradford. Our strength lies in our 8,000 plus alumni who are working at very senior positions and in various different sectors. Not many people know of IILM's role in responsible management education. IILM has been a signatory of PRME, that is Principles of Responsible Management Education, which is a UNGC initiative. We have been a signatory since 2008. As a member of this elite group, IILM is a champion school for the Faculty Development and Engagement Working Group, and we are working very closely with Babson College and Copenhagen Business School. The programs at IILM have all been recognized by accreditation bodies, both national as well as international. In April 2013, IILM was accorded the prestigious SARCS accreditation by MDSA. SARCS stands for South Asian Quality Assurance System, and it is the highest standard of achievement for management schools in Asia. So far, only 15 other B schools in India have received this accreditation. All our PG programs are AICTE approved. Moreover, the PG program at our campus in NCR is also certified by National Board of Accreditation as equivalent to MBA. We are also successfully running fellow programs in management, and these are programs which are equivalent to the PhD program, and we've been running them in the campuses in the NCR. Apart from delivering courses across undergraduate and postgraduate levels, IILM has been successfully delivering programs for working professionals for more than a decade now. In 2014, we completed 10 years of training for IAS and IPS officers. Almost 1/10 of the IAS officers in the Government of India have attended various training programs at IILM. Apart from this, we have also been running a foundation management program with IBM Concentrix. It is now running into its 6th year. This program is certified to provide training to their officers across various different locations, both inside as well as outside the country. Apart from these, we are also conducting customized trainings for public sector undertakings, Engineers India Limited being one of them, and we are in the process of tying up with more of the PSUs. And now, without taking any more time, let's come to today's event, which is what everyone is waiting for. Today's event is a conference on family business management. Family businesses have been one of the oldest business institutions in India. In a rudimentary sense, these started as joint family businesses and closely mirrored the family setup of joint family system, which has been an inherent part of the Indian society. The changing business environment and the changing social as well as family structures have raised fresh challenges for family businesses, and all of these require deliberation. Like any other business, the issues facing family businesses are diverse and varied. How can family businesses leverage their legacy for higher financial return? How can healthy family relationships be maintained? What does one mean by governance of family businesses? How can businesses diversify into new markets and yet maintain profit, at the same time balance the old with the new? These are just some of the questions that face family businesses. Many of family business ventures have started on a promising note but have ended as abortive projects. Yet, there is an equally large, in fact perhaps not equally, a much larger number of family businesses who have survived all the turmoils and have succeeded over generations. The fundamental question that arises therefore is that what does it actually take to run a successful family business, and how does one survive in today's competitive and digital age? Our conference on family business management therefore aims to answer some of these questions and maybe many more by inviting views from our esteemed panelists on our theme for today, which is the future of family business in 21st century. I would now like to begin the first session by welcoming our keynote speaker, Mr. Vishesh Chandru, to share his views on leading the future, the challenges before family business in India. Mr. Chandru does not need any introduction. He is well recognized as the CEO of Grant Thornton India, one of the oldest and largest accountancy and advisory firms. An alumnus of St. Stephen's College, Mr. Chandru completed his Masters in Business and Management from the University of Strathclyde, UK. He has more than 23 years of accounting and finance experience. A chartered accountant from the Institute of Chartered Accountants in England, Wales, Mr. Chandru has been instrumental in taking his family business to new heights. Family business management is a subject which is dear to his heart, and he has delivered talks and speeches on various issues of family business management across different forums. Welcome, sir. It is indeed an honor for all of us to have you here. I now request you to kindly deliver your keynote address. Thank you.
Thank you, Vandana. Thank you very much, Malvika, Anil, for giving me the opportunity. Delighted to be here this morning. Before we begin, it will be wonderful for me to know how many of you come from a background where you have a family that is in business together, where you have family members who are actively involved in management. So can we have a show of hands? How many of you believe you are in a family business? Okay, most people in the audience, other than the kids who still don't know that, but will realize that soon. Right, so what I'm here to talk to you about this morning is really family business governance. And Vandana talked about the issues that family businesses face. Why is it important to talk about these issues? Let me first begin about that. We at Grant Thornton believe our job is to help Indian businesses grow, Indian businesses succeed, raise capital, put in place international standards, choose the best standards of governance. For family businesses, that includes choosing the best standards of family business governance. Those standards are quite different to the corporate governance standards that you're familiar with, and I'm going to talk to you about some of those things. But why is it important to do that? It's important to do that because it is critical to the future of India Inc. There will not be any successful Indian businesses if they do not address the issues that almost every family business faces at some stage or the other. The issues are always the same. And let me tell you one thing. 100% of family businesses face issues. Not 99%, 100%. My family business faced the issues. I saw the issues between my grandfather and my father. I still see the issues between my father and myself. So please do not think that you're an exception. I hear from people, I've got only one son. What issues can I have? The issues definitely do multiply when you have more than one child. But even when there's one son, the father-son relationship leads to issues when they are in business together. So I'm going to talk to you about why those issues come up, what those issues are, and what some of the things are you may do to address those issues. Right? The why, the what, and how you may address those issues. I've got some slides. I'll try and run quickly through these slides. But let me start with the theory. What is a family business? How does it develop? And if you look at the chart behind me, and if you plot the age of the senior generation and the age of the junior generation, every business goes through the same life cycle. A business starts off as an owner with a young family. That's basically the entrepreneur who just started a business between 25, 40 years of age. As that entrepreneur gets to 40 to 50 years of age usually, young kids like yourselves want to join their fathers, hopefully. That basically is the second generation. They work together for about 10, 15 years, and the issues of working together come up. And then there comes time to pass on the business to the next generation after that. So it's the entrepreneur, the sibling partnership, and then the cousins confederation. The three stages that every business goes through. But the statistics are shocking. The statistics are that less than 1 in 5 businesses actually pass into the third generation. Less than 1 in 5 pass into the third generation. Now, why is that? Because the same issues come up again and again, and people make the same mistakes without learning and without doing anything about them. A little more theory. Really, the theory really is that when you put the family value system and the business value system together, naturally it leads to conflict. And the reason for that is that the family value system, what is the family value system? It's inward looking, it's emotion based. Families are emotional, right? Decisions are made based on emotion. There's unconditional acceptance, irrespective of how capable or incapable someone is in a family. Everybody's considered equal. Families are naturally sharing, which means everything is equal usually. There's lifetime membership in a family. You're very rarely asked to leave from a family, right? You're born in a family and you die within that family. And families are naturally averse to change. Families don't like changing their ways. This is how we've always done things. When you contrast that to the business value system, what you guys are, MBA students or BBA students largely. That's what I understand. You understand this, right? What makes a business successful? What makes a business successful is a business that is outward looking, that is task based. These are the things that need to be accomplished. That is unemotional, that rewards performance. You either perform or you're asked to go, right? You will get some chances, but you either perform or you're asked to go. And a business naturally needs to embrace change. If you don't change, you die, right? That's what you're taught in your class. A classic family business puts those two value systems together, right? And you can see those two value systems are diametrically opposed. And naturally, when those two value systems come together, what comes up is conflict. Conflict on a daily basis, conflict on an hourly basis, conflict sometimes on a minute-by-minute basis. But it's not all bad news. Family businesses can be extremely powerful, extremely successful, and extremely value accretive if family businesses do some things. So let me talk about what some of those issues are that come up. So at Grant Thornton, we developed a 12-factor framework. We believe family businesses need to address all these 12 factors holistically if they have to remain successful generation after generation, if they have to remain successful through those stages that I talked about. These 12 factors need to address succession, need to address remuneration, how much should people earn, need to address equity ownership, in what proportion should shares be owned by different members of the family, need to address how to treat family members who are not involved in the business. Some of you who are from family businesses may choose not to enter your family business whilst your siblings enter the family business. Do you have any rights on that business? Do you get anything from that business? Critical also, you can't run a business just with the family members. If you are 30 family members potentially, you could take all the senior management positions, but for most of us, you will need high quality external executives. How do you reward those external executives? How do you retain them? Of course, retirement and estate planning. Number 7, bringing family members into the business. I'm going to pass out of MBA school, Dad, in a couple of months. I'm going to, obviously, it's presumed that on Monday morning I'll show up at work. How do you bring family members into the business? Are there any do's and don'ts? Of course, like for any business, what's the strategic plan? Does this business have the potential? Financial structures, preserving wealth, resolving conflict, and lastly, the family creed. I'm not going to go through each of the factors, but some of them that I believe are relevant for you here. So why do I call, why did we build this 12-factor framework? Basically, every family business has 3 key stakeholders, right? Those 3 key stakeholders are the owners, the management, and the family. Owners are the shareholders. Right? Everybody may not be an owner. People who own shares are the owners of a business. The family, everybody is part of the family, as I said earlier. You're born in the family. So everybody is part of the family. And some people may be involved in the management. And therefore the issues that need to be addressed for those 3 groups, what are the family issues, what are the issues of ownership, what are the issues of management, is what fits in together in what's called the 3-circle model. And we've dispersed those 12 factors that impact all 3, 2 of them, or just 1 of them, right? So we've done extensive research into this subject in India. A gentleman called Professor Kavil Ramachandran of now ISB, he was at that time with IIM, one of the leading authorities on this subject, did some research for us, and we've been repeating that research over the years. Again, I can't share all the research, but a couple of key things that came out from Indian business families on this subject. What were their concerns? A couple of concerns. First, how do we segregate the affairs of the family and that of the business? How do we separate those affairs and not necessarily think of everything as one? And what happens if the business gets into trouble? Because all wealth normally in a family gets reinvested in the business. Whatever I earn goes back into the business. So let me talk through some of those 12 factors and what are some of the issues that come up. Succession planning. So let me use some illustrations and cartoons to show what the issues are. So what do you think that son is telling his father? The son's just passing out of business school. He's having a conversation with his father. Father's in the airline business, saying, "Dad, I want to thank you for the suit and the flying lessons, but what I really want to be is a guitarist." He doesn't want to join the business. Dad's been planning all these years that my son's going to grow up and join my business, and he's my natural successor. He hasn't thought about any other places where he's going to find a successor. So from the research, one of the things that came up was, we asked the question, should the eldest member of the family be the natural head of the business? The response was 45% people disagreed in India that that's not actually true, but that's normally what happens. I think the real issues to consider when you're looking at succession, the first issue, people think that my kids are going to come join the business, and often kids say, "Dad, I don't want to." The real issue to be considered is, can the business really be sustained? Is this business something that has the ability to go through generations, or do we need to start other businesses? Do we need to diversify? The second question, very hard for any parents to make that decision, but the second question is, does the next generation really have the ability or the interest in this business? Very hard for a parent to assess ability, and there are ways to do that through using non-family executives, but that's the other question to ask. Does the next generation really have the ability? So how do you get it? The first thing is early recognition. People find it hardest to deal with their own mortality, their own lack of ability to go on forever. Entrepreneurs find it the hardest. They believe that I can work from 12 hours a day to 14 hours a day to 16 hours a day, and I can work till 60 and 70 and 80, and I'm immortal. The first thing is early recognition that you're not. There are 2 things I was taught in business school that are certain. First, is taxes. If you make money, you will be taxed. You may pay it or not, but the first thing is taxes. The second thing is death. Everybody who is born will die one day, and early recognition that you need to plan for succession is critical. Second is you need to involve children at an early age. If you want children to succeed you, don't think by giving them the flying lessons. If you're in the airline business, they will naturally want to become the managers of that business. You need to involve them, need to imbibe the values, why was this business built, why is it important for the family. Does not necessarily mean that they need to start working actively in the business from the day they turn 18. They need to be aware of what's going on. It's absolutely critical, in fact, that people have external experience. Those of you here who come from family businesses, traditionally what used to happen in India was the day you finished your studies, next day, go join dad, right? It's absolutely the worst thing you could do for yourself. Absolutely the worst thing you could do for your children is to say, next day, please come join me. That external experience is invaluable because they need to understand what being an employee is like. They need to understand how other businesses operate. If all you've ever seen is your own business in which you join and you die, you will never know what the world outside is like. And the only time you can get that experience, realistically, is between your studies and when you were to join business. The other big deterrent to succession planning is creating wealth outside. You can't plan succession if you don't have wealth outside. Well, how much time do I have? Okay, thank you. If you don't have money stashed out outside, you will never be able to leave the business. So just a quote from Peter Drucker. The final test of greatness in a chief executive officer is how well he chooses his successor and whether he can step aside and let his successor run the company. Stepping aside is not about being necessarily never showing up at the office again, but still being there and wanting to override decisions is not the way succession works. One of the biggest deterrents to succession is retirement planning, right? That's a son who's probably in his 60s trying to push his father into the filing cabinet, right? Because the father doesn't want to leave. Because of the reasons I talked about. He probably doesn't have enough money outside, he doesn't have any hobbies, any interests outside. And that repeats itself again and again and again and again. Repeats itself. But people make the same mistakes again and again. Bringing family members into the business, right? When family members are ready to join the business, what is the biggest challenge that comes up? The new generation comes with new ideas, but the business isn't ready to accept those ideas. The business isn't ready to accept those ideas. So therefore, what can you do? The first thing, communicate. Encourage your parents and parents who are here, please communicate, please speak your mind and speak to current employees, non-family employees who are the business. Don't think that my son will land up and everybody will give him respect or give her respect because they carry the surname. They need to understand what the person's role is. The person who's joining the business needs to understand what their duties and tasks are. What do they need to accomplish to get to the next level? How will they earn from this business? The third bullet there seems very basic. Introduce your child by name to employees with whom they will work and explain what the child will be working on. What happens normally? Give it to Baba. Give it to baby. XYZ is here and he will take care of it. Understand, you can't call your father dad at work. Dad stops at home. At work, that it is Mr. I. It isn't dad. Right? The remuneration planning, one of the other factors, factor number 7. In family businesses, what we have seen at Grant Thornton, either people are paid too much or they're paid too little. Right? I don't pay you what you're worth because it's all yours one day anyway. Right? Either they are paid so much that they drive Lamborghinis and bust them at India Gate, or they receive nothing and therefore have no way to know, no financial independence because the parents need to control what the children do at 50. They're still children at 50. Right. Non-family executives. Do they ever find a role in the business which is equivalent to the family? Is the question. There is no difference between your son and a non-family executive who's been there, depending on the roles they have. And you need to find that balance. I'm going to click through some of these because we don't have time. One of the critical things in family business, remember what I said, those two circles when they come together, what happens? Conflict, right? One of the critical things, therefore, is to have a mechanism in place to identify conflict and to resolve conflicts. To identify conflicts, to encourage people to speak up. People use the analogy that family businesses are like a swan. Duck, like a duck. Calm and serene above the water, but paddling like hell underneath to stay afloat. Calm and serene above the water, but paddling like hell underneath to stay. Why does that happen? Because people aren't encouraged to speak up. How will people be encouraged to speak up if there aren't any avenues to speak up? And therefore what people do is have formal family councils where you have family meetings. These are not business meetings, these are family meetings. How is your relationship with your sister-in-law? How is your relationship with your brother? Are there any issues? If issues come up, I know family businesses that require within 48 hours, you have to bring the issue to the family council. You will be penalized in cash if you don't bring it out. You need to do some of those things. Otherwise, issues build over time. And therefore, what can be done is basically what we call the family creed. Putting down a family constitution. Just like, and I'll finish in a minute, Vandana, just like a business has SOPs, right? Standard operating procedures. A business has rules. A family also needs rules. A family needs rules so that there is predictability, so that everybody knows what to expect. And you can't put in rules after you already need them. Prevention is better than cure. And therefore, families need to, before issues arise, sit down and put down rules on these 12 factors. How will succession happen? When will someone retire? What sort of external experience is needed before you can join the business? When you join the business, what compensation will you receive? How will you be assessed and appraised? Right? Those sort of rules. Also rules so that future generations know the hardship that went into building the business. Future generations need to know the story, need to know what it took to build this beautiful business. Don't expect that people will just know that and live by it. And to put down what is important for the family. There are personal preferences. What is the role of sons and daughters? Can in-laws be involved in the business or not? What happens if someone gets into trouble? Put down rules on all those things. And families that have got it right have put down rules on all these things. And that's effectively what goes into a family creed, a family constitution. It's the family vision, it's the family mission, and really why does the family business exist? Why is it important to us? And what will we do to give it priority? And I think if I can say one thing on that, being successful in a family business is all about why the we is more important than the me. If you keep thinking that I am the most important, I am the biggest contributor, this exists because of me, the family business will get into issues. It's the we that you need to keep thinking about. Otherwise, the family business is not the place for you. The we being more important than the me. Right. I think it is about time to conclude. There is a lot of information there. This is not something that one can really cover. But just to recap, issues are the same. They repeat time and again. 100% of family businesses face those issues. There are the 12 factors, all of which must be addressed holistically to address the needs of the family, the needs of the owners, and the needs of the management. So that three-circle model is fully addressed. And there are families in Europe, families in Japan, families in America that have got this right over generations. The oldest family business is something like 1,000 years old. It's a business in Japan that builds temples. It's now in its 14th generation. And they've done some of these things. There are big businesses like Hewlett-Packard, BMW, Henkel. Do you know all those are family businesses? Do you know all those are family businesses? Those businesses have done some of these things. They've documented that everybody who's born in the family doesn't have to come into the business. So they've documented what your rights are from the business. They've documented what your responsibilities are towards that business. So the message to conclude for you young Indians, you are the future for India Inc. If you all do not choose to join your businesses, Indian businesses will not exist. It will only be MNCs. Right? And therefore, there is huge opportunity. However, remember one thing that Charles Wadsworth said. By the time a man realizes that maybe his father was right, he has a son who thinks he's wrong. By the time a man realizes that maybe his father was right, he has a son who thinks he's wrong. Do not push back everything your parents say because that's what you know how to do. Listen to it. Think. You could still do what you want to do. You don't have to push it back. And it happens again and again. I think for the parents, that's a message for the kids. I must also give, there are some parents in the audience. There is also a message for the parents. I'm not going to make this one-sided. The message for the parents is the best lesson I learned, the simplest lesson, is run the family like a business and run the business like a family. Run the family like a business and run the business like a family. That's what makes the most successful family businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thanks a lot for your views. I think you covered a lot of it, and as you mentioned, it can't all be done in such a short time. I now hand it over to Raghav to start with the question and answer session.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Visesha, for enlightening us on the issues that are faced by the family businesses in India. So, since you know that most of us do come from family businesses, people do look at that belief and they do look at that we inherit the respect from our parents. But it is our generation that has to prove to them that we don't only inherit the respect from our parents, we have to earn it and show to them that we can earn it and we will give it to our next generation. Bringing this discussion forward, sir, I'd like to begin with the question and answer session. I would like to take the opportunity of asking you the first question myself. Sir, how can one develop a shared family vision and what are its challenges?
Right, I guess you've asked me the toughest question first, Raghav, and I think you said it yourself, it's a shared family vision, right? A vision is something what most people do, even in a business, is sit in their corner office and write a vision. This is the vision for my business, because you know it best, right? You know where the destination for my business is. you know similarly what's the destination for my family? You probably do. You probably do. However, the only way a vision can be successful, a vision can be achievable, is if everybody understands that vision and feels that they contributed to that vision. And therefore, the only way you can do it is get people together and let them come up with what do you believe the vision for our family should be. Why do you believe we should be together in business? Why is it important for us? You know the answer why? Why is it important to be in business together? I have a very simple answer to that. I think it's the biggest insurance policy you can have. As I said, life is, you are mortal, life is uncertain. If something happens to you, who's going to take care of your family? You may not understand this today, but if something happens to you, who's going to take care of your family? An insurance company or your wider family? Of course, the respect and the, to take the platform that's been built by the previous generations through all that hard work is is greatly motivating and driving in itself.
Thank you, sir. Sir, I'd like the audience to put up some questions to sir since we have a few minutes. Just keep it short and brief, please. Do we have any questions?
On there, on blank.
Sir, good morning.
Very good morning.
I would like to ask you that naturally in a family business, it's the son that is set to take over the business. But what if the girls in the family have more caliber than the boys? So how are they supposed to handle that?
I think, again, there's no right or wrong on this subject, but increasingly what one is seeing is that there is no differentiation between girls and boys. In fact, one of the things I had was do not give out girl jobs and boy jobs. The girl should come do HR and the boy will be the CEO and run the company. Girls should come and look at CSR and the boys will, run the business. I think that so theoretically there's no, it should be an equal opportunity, but at the same time there are practical differences. I think if the girls are serious about their careers and the girls are, serious about building a career, then they should have an equal opportunity. I think often to be fair, often what happens is, the girls want that equal opportunity, but at the same time want their, 5 years out because they're on maternity leave, right? They're bringing up kids. Now both things can't work together. Melissa Mayer, lady who took on Yahoo, joined when she was pregnant, and took a 2.5 week maternity leave, and was back at work. So if you want to build a career and you're serious, that's the commitment you also need to show to the business. But I think, the best thing is have an honest chat that I am serious about the business, and there are lots of examples out there where girls have had an equal opportunity compared to boys in India.
Thank you, sir. Can we invite Professor Rahul Mishra on the stage to take the next session?
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Thank you.
A very good morning to all of you present here today. I, Suhasini Jaipuria of Stage 2 of Undergraduate Business School, would like to take the opportunity to welcome you all to the second session of the Family Business Management Conference, Succession Planning and Preparing the Next Generation. This session will primarily focus on the intricacies of succession planning in family business in the Indian context. This session will also raise the issue of the role of women in succeeding a family business. It is true that planning for succession is the toughest and most critical challenge that a family or a closely held business might face. However, if done rightly, succession planning can maximize opportunities and create a multi-generational business that embodies the founder's mission and values long after he is gone, and the business he worked so hard to build would continue to flourish for years. Today, we have Mr. Riju Jhunjhunwala, Managing Director of Bhilwara Energy Limited, Mrs. Divya Suri Singh, Executive Director, Lalit Suri Hospitality Group, and Mr. Rajiv Jain, Director, LMC Motors Company Limited, as our esteemed panelists for this session. Mr. Jhunjhunwala graduated from IILM and joined his family business soon after graduation. He has been Managing Director of Rajasthan Spinning and Weaving Mills Limited since Feb 2015. Under his guidance, RSWM Limited took a major initiative of modernization and expansion of textile capacities across the business. He serves as the Managing Director of Bhilwara Energy Limited. He is also passionate about developments in the district of Bhilwara in Rajasthan, where the company had its first establishment and involved in programs related to upliftment of downtrodden and women. He is building ground support amongst youth of Bhilwara to achieve his vision for Bhilwara. It's a pleasure to have you with us, sir. Next, we have Mrs. Divya Suri Singh, the eldest daughter of the late Mr. Lalit Suri, and Dr. Jyotsna Suri, the current chairperson and managing director of the Lalit Suri Hospitality Group. An alumna of Convent of Jesus and Mary, New Delhi. She graduated in commerce from the prestigious Sri Ram College of Commerce, Delhi University, and further went on to pursue her Bachelor of Law from King's College London in 1998. She trained under and then subsequently worked with established lawyers Mr. Arun Jaitley and Mr. Mukul Rohatgi for over 8 years. She now ably leads the legal and company affairs of the Lalit Suri Hospitality Group. She is a member of the Delhi High Court Bar Association and was the chairperson of the Young FICCI Ladies Organization from 2012 to 2013. Thank you, ma'am, for being with us here today. We also have Mr. Rajiv Jain, Director of LMC Motor Company Limited. He did his schooling from St. Xavier School and graduated from the prestigious Sri Ram College of Commerce. He further went on to pursue his Masters in International Management from the International Management Institute. He was an active participant in debates and dramatics and played cricket at college level. He has been in family business of automobile spares since 1985. It's a pleasure to have you with us, sir. Knowing that succession planning plays a crucial role in any family business, our esteemed speakers would enlighten us on the different aspects of succession planning and family business. May I now request Mr. Jhunjhunwala to commence the session.
Thank you. I must admit it feels very good because I was the part of the first 1996 batch of IILM, and I've been used to sitting here rather than speaking to the audience, so it feels very, very good to be amongst all of you. And I know the patience is very, very little when you're sitting over there, because also from the point of view as an audience, must give it to the guys today, because the second time I'm coming to IILM, and the level of patience that you guys have is far more than what we used to have when we used to be studying over here. So kudos to that. We need to learn something from that. The topic for me is succession planning and a little bit to do with conflict resolution. A little bit about myself. I studied in IILM. I graduated in the year 2000, and almost immediately I went into my family business. Like Vishesh mentioned before, I mean, there was not any preparation. One fine day I was out of college, the next day I was supposed to be at work. My grandfather, who was the first generation into this business, used to take me to office once in a while with him when I used to be in school, when I used to be in college. That used to be a pain in the ass at that point in time for me, because all you wanted to do was to hang out with the friends. But once I started going to office, I actually realized how much value that had actually added to me. Because once I got into, the next day I was sitting in my office, a small office, in a small cubicle in my office. I knew some of the things that, I would not have known had he not done that. So, I mean, part of, what I can only advise a little bit from your point of view, being over here, take little bit of interest from now on in your family business if you have. Not much. I mean, right now is not the time to worry about your family business, how to do succession planning. That's all your fathers, grandfathers, brothers, elder brothers' job right now. For you, I think if you can take a little bit of interest in what your family business is and apply whatever you are learning over here in your practical studies, I think that will go a long way in the next 10 to 15 years once you actually get into the business. I've written down a few points that I just want to touch about as far as this is concerned. Vishesh mentioned about starting from the bottom. That is very, very important. Again, that does not mean that you need to go and sit in your factory for 6 months, 8 months, 1 year, 2 years. That used to be very in the 80s and the 90s, that you pass out of university and you're sent back to your factory somewhere in the middle of some state in India, and then you're supposed to spend time learning from grassroots over there. That might not hold true today because all of us are, let's admit, very used to a particular lifestyle now, and you can't really expect someone to get out of IILM, get out of college and suddenly go into the shop floor and do justice over there for 2 years. But you must have a certain knowledge about that. From day one when you join business, you cannot expect to know everything about it. You need to understand what people at the grassroots levels are doing, even if you're not sitting there 12 hours a day. For that, the things that are important is to have a lot of respect for the people who have been working in your organization for a long time. And believe me, once you show them a little bit of respect, people who've been working with your fathers, brothers, grandfathers, sisters, everyone, they will really mentor you the way they need to, and you will learn a lot from them. I've had people in my organization, I've been working now for 15 years, but some people who just retired this year in March 2015, who had been working with my grandfather for the last 30 years, then with my father for 10 years, and for the last 10 years they've been directly reporting to me. But I see absolutely no friction between myself and them, because from day one you have to give them the respect and they will give you that back. See, there's 2 or 3 things, a couple of things about conflict resolution. I think the only thing, the way to manage conflict within your family is just talk, talk and talk. Very often, we make the mistake that, we know something in our mind that I believe so and so thing is correct. And I expect my father or my brother to automatically get into my head and think that, whatever I'm thinking, he'll be on the same page. So if we have the kind of freedom with that, hopefully all of us sitting over here do have the freedom with our family to really express our thoughts to them. If you don't have, then the things, having a family council, some outsider, some relative of yours, someone in the family, maybe your mother, maybe whoever else, who can really put forward your thoughts. What is it that you want to your next generation? A lot of us might not want to, immediately get into a family business. You want to go abroad to study for 2 years. Your father wants you to come back and join business from day one. He thinks that you just want to go abroad just to party for 2 more years, and you're just kind of, putting the thing behind. You just want to get 2 more years to party. You don't want to join the family business. But that's not actually probably what you want to do. You might want 2 more years. You're not prepared to join your business yet. Yet you want to work hard at something else. Make it known to them in some form or the other. All of us have passions outside of our family business. For example, I had a major conflict with my family 4 years, 5 years back. I'm deeply interested in politics. So in 2008, I decided to try and, run for elections, etc., all of that. And that created a major rift in the family. My grandfather was like, nahi, sara business duba dega, isko to kaam hi nahi karna, isko to sirf politics karna hai. My father was more cautious that time. He was like, we need to, we are belonging to a business family. You can't be linked to a political party. It will create issues, blah, blah, blah. It took me literally 1 year to try and convince them that, I'm actually serious about it. It's not something that I just want to do on the side. My work is my priority. I'm never, ever, ever going to leave my family business. My lifestyle is too valuable to me. I want to be part of my family business, but yet this is my passion. I want to devote some time to it, and I have a lot of free time. It's not that we're working for 12 hours, 16 hours. So if I can devote my free time rather than going out with friends, etc., and all to my passion, which is politics, what is wrong? It took me 6 months. I was very, very rigid about it. Ultimately, they had to give in. So now I'm like doing both the things parallelly. Right now, I was more passionate about the Congress party, so things are a little down in the dumps. But I hope that'll see light of the day someday when we can find people. But that's something that's still in the back of my mind. I want to do that at some point in time. My younger brother, he's also in the family business. He's 4 years younger to me. His passion is music. He wants to, learn music 4 to 5 hours a day, and he's very, very serious about playing the sarod, etc. So how does he do that? Now he devotes most of his time outside of work into doing that. Now someone could, in the family business, what my family is now kind of accustomed to is everyone has their own passions. All of them want to do those things as long as it is not at the expense of work. The moment I feel that, I'm not being able to focus on my work because I'm so interested in politics, that's the time I should actually have the honesty to walk up to my family and say that, this is not for me. Please, you guys handle it. And I'll still be a owner of the business, but I'm not going to devote quality time. The biggest injustice you can do to yourself and to your family business, I think, is to believe that you will do everything at the same time, and the moment you start doing that, something or the other will start to suffer. So the day I think that, politics is so serious for me that I'm not being able to do my work properly, that's the time I should be able to tell my family in a very, very honest way that, this is not what I'm going to do. Till such time, I'm going to continue to work. I enjoy working. Work is my passion. I'm involved in 2 different businesses right now, textiles and the power business, and continue to grow those businesses. Yes, every day you have conflicts with your family, with your brother, with your father. You can't expect 3 people to think exactly the same way. There are ways and means how to get around it. You have to be, very, very open to thinking what they are thinking could also be right. And as far as they are concerned, they also need to think. A friend of mine, once 2 or 3 years back told me one thing. He is also in his family business, and he's the younger brother, and he has an elder brother who's also into the family business. I was just chatting with him one day that how you guys handle it. So he told me a very beautiful line which I just remembered while sitting over here. He said that, I give him the respect of being an elder brother, and in turn he respects me. He doesn't take me for granted for being a younger brother. I think if we all can, kind of learn something from that you need to respect your elders, and from elders' point of view, they need to not brush you on the side and, really think that what you are saying could also be true. I think most of the battles will be won there. I think my time's over right now. We'll talk more over the question and answer session. But then again, my only advice would be to, kind of follow your passion. Be little involved in your work from now on only. Know a little bit what's going on by talking to your family over breakfast, lunch, dinner. And at the same time, continue to enjoy what you're doing right now. Thank you.
About succession planning and about the role of business or women in business. I come from a very unique family situation where the CMD of the company and my boss is Dr. Jyotsna Suri, who's also my mother. I have my colleagues as executive directors are both my younger brother and my younger sister. As far as succession planning is concerned, we'll leave that to mom, who's also boss. And the way she's divided things amongst us is that I am actually coming from what Riju said about passion. I was always very passionate about being a lawyer. So both my parents, my father and my mother, let me pursue that passion. I did my LLB from King's College London from 95 to 98. I came back in 98, I practiced with Mr. Arun Jaitley, then I practiced with Mr. Mukul Rogi. I actually joined the family business in the year 2006. And having a legal background, I was made in charge of the legal department, along with that procurement and the various CSR initiatives that we carry on. Both my younger brother and sister, my younger sister, she's an expert in HR, so HR, sales and marketing comes under her. As far as my brother is concerned, he's very passionate about food and beverage and also our various nightclubs, so that he's responsible for. As far as the role of women is concerned, again, I think we are in a very unique situation where even before it was made mandatory to have women directors on the board, we already had a chairperson and managing director and 2 EDs who are ladies. So of course, sometimes on our floor, men are in a minority. If there's anything else, anything from my personal experiences, I've trained as a classical dancer as well. Again, that's something that my family let me follow. I have another sibling who's actually looking after Subros, where we manufacture air conditioners for plants. She's one of the very few women in India who's in manufacturing. So as far as I think women power goes, it's pretty obvious as far as that is concerned. Also from 7 hotels, we are now 11 hotels under the able leadership of my mother. We are also going to be opening a hotel in London, so we are going international. Also taking a cue from what the speaker before me said is, yes, there are certain core values which have been imbibed in us right from the beginning, which are integrity and honesty, interactive yet responsive communication, devotion to duty, minimize wastage and respect for individuals. I think if we follow that, not only in our professional lives, but also our personal lives and family lives, I think things would be much better. People don't like to be taken for granted. And also sometimes, we assume that the other person understands our point of view, but actually he or she doesn't till we don't go and explain it to them. Another thing that we all do as a family, since we all work together in the same office, is have lunch together, so that if there is any difference of opinion, even though our departments are divided, but there is a lot of, interaction amongst various departments, because obviously if F&B needs to function, then purchase needs to make sure that all the things are there on time, HR needs to make sure that all the people are there in the respective posts. So if there is a difference of opinion, sort it out and communicate with each other. Another thing that I think we are unique in is that I and my younger sister both work in our father's family business. So I have to credit our in-laws for allowing that also. Because a lot of times in Indian traditional families, and I can take the liberty of saying that across communities, the thought process is that once she gets married, she's going to join her husband's family business. Yes, if you can do that, that's a great option. But if your parents' family business needs you, go ahead and join that as well. That option always exists. I think rest I'll just leave. I know this is the way I am short. And if there's any other question, we'll have it at the question answer session, or if there's anything else that anybody would like to know, I'll be very happy to answer it.
Views on that. Now I invite Mr. Jan talking about the intergenerational aspect of family business. Thank you so much. The topic today before us is a very interesting topic, and interesting more so because it is going to affect you in your immediate future. Right after you pass out from here, you have to start your lives. And today, with the world changing so much, the generation gap is not 20 years, is not 10 years, is not 5 years, is a year now. With every year the generation is changing. And so succession planning and preparing the next generation has become all the more important and has assumed a very important role in everyone's life, I guess. All of us need to work to sustain our lives. Maybe most of you guys sitting here are fortunate enough to have a silver spoon or a golden spoon or whatever spoon in your mouth. But after you pass out, you will have to work. Do something. Either you work for the people or the people work for you. The choice is yours. Whether you want to work for some company or you want people to work for your company where you get involved. And I go back 30 years. I passed out on 85 from Shriram College, did my IMI, and my father told me, I had a lot of offers when I passed out from IMI, but my father told me that, look, Rajiv, you might be having a lot of offers. I would love that you join the family business, but you have an open offer. But then why should you put your expertise to somebody else's use? Why not use the same expertise for your own business and develop the business? And this was one line which set my mind right and made me join my family business. And I have no regrets. Last 30 years, I have worked and worked very hard. And the business also has prospered. Now, just to give you some numbers, regarding the family business, there was a survey. Now, pan-India, there are 36 family business families which hold 191 US billion in wealth, which account for about 1/4 of the GDP of the country. And these companies, the Indian family run businesses, they contribute to about 55% of the taxation to the Indian government. So you can very well imagine the importance of a family business. The family businesses per se are the unsung heroes of the Indian economy today. Post 2008, when the world was going through a turmoil, India was still very resilient. And according to a survey done by IMF, they say because the Indian economy was being held by these family businesses who are very quick to adapt themselves to the changes whenever they are needed. So they were able to sustain and they were able to forge ahead. About 2 years back, there was a seminar, of the world. Some economists were there, and there was a German economist. So he was delivering a lecture. So one line he said, which was I was really very impressed. He said, "You guys in India are amazing. You guys are progressing at 5 to 6%, and you say there is a recession. In US and Europe, we are degrowing, and still we are fighting. And at 5-6%, you are not happy. I'm amazed," he said. "India is a wonderful country." So this is the kind of reputation what everybody has about us. And I think the coming time is really very good. So we must all, as Mr. Junjunwala also said, his grandfather used to take him to the business. So I was just remembering myself also. My grandfather also used to take me to the shop, कि चलो बेटा आज Saturday छुट्टी है तो 2 घंटे लगा के आओ. And that really helped me. From day one when I went to the business, so whatever little training I had, formal or informal or whatever, it did help me a lot. So I fully endorse his views that you guys also must put in your bit, whatever way, formal or informal or whatever way, it is going to help you. Maybe you don't even join the business. I'm sure these things will definitely help you in life, some way or the other. They have a lot of attachment, they have a lot of emotional values. Now, why the family business culture is progressing well in India? A is the agility in decision making. B is the commitment. C is the passion, dedication, trust, and deep industry knowledge. Now, as Mr. Junjunwala says, he is the third generation or the fourth generation, so I am sure he is the master of this industry, So we are all that way very fortunate to have our parents or fathers or grandfathers working in the same industry. So that in-depth knowledge comes to us, in Virasat, as we say. So which to outsider, it will not be available. So that is a head start what we get when we join the business. So why not? Instead of wasting 10 years to acquire that knowledge, we are getting it ready-made on a platter. So why not use that knowledge and build from there on? There is no harm in doing that, and that is what everybody has been doing. Now, since I am from the automobile industry, I'll just give you a potential, as to what is available. I talk about the car industry. Right now in India, there are about 17 cars per 1,000 persons in the country. And when we talk about developed countries, like US or Europe or any other countries, there this ratio is in excess of 300 cars per 1,000. So this is the kind of potential which is available for the automobile industry, and likewise I am sure for electrical industry or for construction industry or be it any industry, similar potentials would be available. It just needs to be harnessed. We just need to forge ahead. I mean, the economy is now opening up. So we also, I'm sure we are going to be getting a lot of opportunities to do businesses. Like when I started business, we were just confined to the business within the country. So when I joined business, my brother joined in business, we started exporting also. So I am sure each one of, in our own business, we will be getting opportunities to do, to go global, to do business outside. So we must grab these opportunities. About succession planning, yes, the challenge is to narrow down the gap between the generations. Now this, between the elders and the youngers, this friction is there, is bound to be there, but then the elders also see that mentoring is there, and as youngsters, we must also give due respect to them, like Mr. Junjunwala said, that both ways it has give and take. It is a sort of coexistence. Coexistence is the mantra for any family business. Now if I say I do my way, obviously I am not going to get it way. But if we work as a family, we work as a team, I can just correlate it to the Indian cricket team. If Dhoni is the captain, he is just the captain. He cannot be bowling also, he cannot be batting also, he cannot be fielding also. Everybody has got his own specialization. Like Mrs. Suri said, everybody, that departmentalization is there. So each one is taking care of the department and then the entire business is being run. So that is how it is. One must have his own boundaries. One must set his own, must be confined to the whatever job is being given to you. And then I am sure as a team, we will come up. Definitely, why not? So I have a daughter also who is graduating now this year. So I have told her also, like, my choice is yes, you must join business. Now she's been going also to the business. But whether she does or she doesn't do or pursue higher studies or whatever is all up to her. So likewise, you also as students, you will have to make up your mind ultimately as to what is your long-term goal. Whether you want to do business, you don't want to do business, you want to do service. But as your elder, you know, I can just give you a suggestion that if you have your parents' business and a well-set business, there is nothing better than doing a business. It is going to give you a lot of job satisfaction. And today, एक और मेरे दिमाग में ख्याल आता है कि मेरी कंपनी में अगर 150 या 200 लोग काम कर रहे हैं, तो मेरी वजह से हमारे में इतना सामर्थ्य है कि हम 200 लोगों के परिवार को चला रहे हैं. मैं सोचता हूँ ये हमारा एक इकोनॉमिक सोशल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी कह लीजिए या कुछ भी कह लीजिए, तो हम इतना तो कर पा रहे हैं. जिन वाला सबके पास आई मस्ट बी हैविंग मोर देन 2000 4,500 people. I don't know how many you have. You won't know the count also. So that's how it is. Again, CSR initiatives. We after coming at a certain level, we do take care of that. Like he's also doing, so we also in our own small ways, you know, we keep on किसी को एजुकेशन देना है या किसी को कुछ मान लीजिए क्लोथिंग देना है या कुछ भी देना है, छोटा मोटा काम करते रहते हैं. So that is again, it gives you some satisfaction, you know, कि आज हमें, we are so fortunate that we are born in a good family and we have got so much that we must share with our society, and why not? Ultimately, when we go away from this world, we are not going to take anything away. So why not share little bit whatever we have? 100 रुपए मेरे पास है तो 5 रुपए तो share करूँगा उसमें से. So ultimately, just again an advice that if an opportunity is there to run your business, please do that with passion, with dedication, with commitment, with morals. And there is no way why you are not going to succeed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jain, for your views. Now the session is open for question answer. Let me take this opportunity as a moderator to ask the first question, and then I will throw it open to the audience. First question to Divya: what is the difficult part of being daughter of like Lalit Suri and Josna Suri? We know the easy part, that you are part of the executive director of Lalit Hotels. And same question will I will come to Riju and Mr. Rajiv Jain also. So what is the difficult part of being the daughter?
I haven't faced any difficulty as yet, so I'll be very honest with you, it's only been an advantage. And as far as all the employees are concerned, again going from what Riju said, even though I joined the family business in 2006, but yes, a lot of times we used to go there with our father, and if you respect them, they respect you back. And they realize that, you know, we are here to work as a team and not here to, you know, take their positions away.
Okay, thank you. Riju, what's the difficult part?
Again, like Nita said, no real difficult part, I would say. It's just that, I mean, my grandfather has always been a larger than life figure. He's got varied interests in mathematics. He was a gold medalist in mathematics, studied till whatever degrees and all. And I was never like an interested or I mean, not the right place to be saying this, not very interested in studies per se. So the first few years when you get in, you really try to work hard on getting acceptance within the business. But luckily again for me, most of the people that we had in the organization, they had all been so well groomed, they were virtually like family. So that breaks away, it wasn't like you're stepping into something like an organization like Vishesh's, in which you have like 1,000 professionals, etc. So the pressure over there would be far more than a typical, mine is a very typical family-owned kind of business, which has professionals, but yet they were like part of family. So it was reasonably easy for me from that point of view.
Okay, Mr. Jain, what's the difficult part?
Well, the most difficult part was the employees, you know, not communicating with you, you know. Because I wanted to sort of communicate with them कि क्या आपको तकलीफें होती हैं या क्या आपके सुझाव हैं. So you know, they would not get back कि साहब ये तो is the MD's son, so you know, sort of that distance needs to be maintained. So for that idea came to my mind, like what Mr. Jhunjhunwala said, communication. So I said, okay, let me have lunch with them together. So then I decided, okay, we'll have lunch together. And like obviously my father said, "Kyun aisa kyun kar rahe ho? Tum hamare saath kyun nahi khate ho?" I said, "No, let me do this for some time." So for 6 months, I had lunch with all the employees, and I found that it helped me a lot, and it sort of broke the ice. So then they were more forthcoming, they were more, whatever their views were. So that really helped me, and जो भी problems थी उसका फिर हमने कुछ समाधान ढूंढा, कुछ का नहीं भी ढूंढा, but it really helped me. So that was one, communication was a very good point, which made me remove this obstacle.
Now the session is open to questions from audience. 3 rules. 1, you identify yourself. 2nd, you keep your questions short and crisp. And 3rd, you name the panelist you want to direct with. Yes, Kunal.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. I have a question. In a family business, what if the owner wants to retire and there's no one in the next generation capable of taking over? What are your choices if you still want to preserve the livelihood of younger members still in the family business?
Yeah.
I think the only choice is to go to someone like Vishesh and then try to figure out how your business is going to go forward, because if the elder person wants to retire and someone does not want to take over, it's not the end of the world, I think. I mean, today the kind of companies we have, if you're a professionally managed company, it's not something that it could be a blessing in disguise. I mean, I don't know. It need not be that I'm the best person suited to run. I just happen to be in this position because I am my father's son. If I was not it, I might not be in this particular position, and someone else might be still capable of doing the job much better than me. So I think it could be a blessing in disguise. It's not the end of the world as far as the ownership is well settled and people are not very, very insecure about someone else coming and running their own businesses. If I truly believe that as someone else is more well suited to run my own business than me, I should be very happy to let someone else do that job, and I leave time for me to follow my passions or whatever I need to do.
Thank you, sir.
Riju, can I add one question here? Yeah. Like in US, Sam Walton's family does not run Walmart. So do you think that kind of thing happening in India near future?
It could happen. I mean, lots of the way we are seeing, I think, is more and more people are actually being very, very open to the idea. It's not like a stigma anymore if you're not a part of your business. Earlier on, I think, that's just coming from my experience. I think 10 years back, if you decided not to join your family business and decided to do something else, there would be kind of stigma on you that you're not capable enough to take care of your business, or your father does not think you are worthy enough of taking over his baton or something like that. Now I think people are more and more open to such things. Again, because things are more professionalized now, there are more professional companies, etc. So because of that, a lot of changes happening. It could happen. I mean, I'm not the best person to say, but it could.
Chandiyo wants to.
I can add an example.
Yes, please.
If you want. There's at least 2 examples of large businesses in India where the family did not actually take on succession. The first one was Ranbaxy. Dr. Pratinder Singh handed over reins to a professional CEO because the kids weren't quite ready when, unfortunately, he realized he's not going to be around too long. Right? And the non-family executive built the company until the family became ready. The other example is actually even more interesting. That's the Dabur family.
Okay.
Where they realized there were too many of them. There were 5 branches of the family. If all of them got involved with the one business, it would have been an absolute mess. And therefore, that was the reason why all of them had to step out and let the professionals run the business. So,
Thank you so much for your insight. Yes, I think that's a valid point. Divya or anybody want to respond to this? No? Okay, that's okay. The next question, anybody from audience? Yes, another student. Identify yourself. Yeah.
Hi sir, hi ma'am. I'm from UVA Stage 1, Manjot. My question is for Riju sir. What techniques can a family business use to recruit non-family members to bring in new talent and expertise and build the business?
Bringing professionals or
Again, it's a constant exercise. You need to keep. Over the last 10 years, I think I must have gotten at least 2 or 3 senior level people, and over there, I think the only thing that I can think of is to keep your personal whims and fancies out of the equation. Earlier on, again, it used to be a thing where your traditions need to match, if you are coming from a Marwari family, most of the senior level people also that you would see in a company would be from the same background, etc. Things of those things are kind of changing now. So again, to keep your personal idiosyncrasies out of selecting the right person, and perhaps take external advice also for that, because you might not be the best person to know exactly that this person is suited. So kind of having like 2 or 3 people from the board or interview some professional. That's all I can think of.
Divya, how easy or difficult to bring professionals at the top level?
It's quite easy actually, because obviously having 7 operational hotels, none of us can imagine to be the GM. So we have the GMs, then we have an entire corporate team, and yes, there have been positions where sometimes all of us feel that we are not in a position to take a decision. We've actually asked an outside consultant to come in and say, okay, these are these 2 candidates for this X position, and we are not sure, so can you help us? So I think in today's day and age, things are really changing for the better. There are a lot of professionals in. Yes, of course, they follow the core values, but idiosyncrasies like, okay, if I come from a particular community, all my top corporate guys have to be from the same community. That doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah.
See, today I think the challenge is to retain good people. You may get good people, but to retain them is hell of a challenge. And one good thing about these family businesses is normally people do stick on. Because in a family business you have like my father is there, my brother is there, or like she's there, sister is there. So the focus gets distributed amongst all the employees, all the good employees. Now I may be good to 2 or 3 people, she may be good to 2 or 3 people. So like that way we tend to retain this talent. A and B is, we in a family business you always think ahead, like 6 months down the line, what is it that you are going to do? And what is the type of people that you are going to require? So today itself you start hunting for people, so that you have a reasonably good time and you don't end up, selecting a person in haste. So that is more important. And thirdly, another important thing is the promotions, which should come from down the line, People always feel happy being associated with organizations where they have good chances of being promoted, and they get a chance to show their capabilities. So that is another point wherein every organization should take care to ensure that all the employees get a chance to promote.
Thank you.
I have a question to Riju sir. What actions can be there if there is a discord in the family members of the business?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
What actions can be there if there is a discord in the family members of the
There is
business?
discord in that. There's a conflict.
Again, I'm not really the best person to talk about that, but I think it's the only thing that comes to my mind is just to talk about it. If you can be just brutally honest about it, and like I said, if you cannot talk to your sibling or to your father or to anyone, then use some mediator. But again, not to sit back, because the more you keep thinking about it, if you just relax on it, then it's never going to solve itself. So it needs to solve itself in a particular manner. Either you solve it yourself by going and directly speaking, or if you can't do that for any reason, you're not confident enough, you're not free enough, you might not have that equation with someone, or you might think the person might take it badly, then to use someone outsider who could be from the family, preferably, like another family member. That's something that at least I use quite often. Or if that's also not possible, then again to use external professional help in some cases, and to have like constant, like what Vishesh said, and I think what Divya said is very important, which a lot of us don't do, is to have these informal meetings, either breakfast or lunch or dinner together. If you're having that, I think most of these will come out on their own. There will not be need to professionally resolve conflicts.
Just to add here, the role of family council. Does it really exist in India? What is the shape? I mean, how do you do that? Do they work like the way they work in the Western countries?
I mean, they're happening now. In my own thing, we had someone who was kind of structuring all these things. What role should every family member do on all those things? We've just, the last 2 years we've kind of engaged that. Again, it's not as professional as what it should be, ideally speaking. But I think we are getting there. In my family also we see we getting there. And in larger families that Vishesh mentioned, companies like Dabur and all, they would not have been so successful the way they are today had they not had the family council and constitution that they have. So I think in larger families at least, it's extremely important. It's a necessity in a larger family where more than 4-5 people are there. I think in families of 2 brothers and 1 father, it's still handleable if it's not there, but it's still better advisable if it's not present.
We would like to comment on that. Legal perspective from women's perspective.
Legal perspective again is that try and solve everything across the table with communication. If you have somebody within the family who can be the mediator, that's perfect. If not, then seek professional advice rather than having the family business crumble because somebody felt something a couple of years ago and he didn't bring it up. So I would say that try and resolve it.
Okay. Jen?
Just communication and give and take per se. I mean, one has to be tolerant enough to respect other person's feeling and what he thinks about. So these are the 2 things, and of course, as Raju said, maybe internal help and external help are the last course of resort if need be.
My question can be answered by any of the panelists. It's what are some of the important traits required in the younger generation, and how can these traits be inculcated in them, from an early age?
Traits to
inculcate the younger generation is like very clearly from what Riju and our parents have been doing, whether it's like his grandfather taking him. It's, with us also going as kids, also the core values, because you hear it so much discussed around you at home. So whether you like it or not, you do imbibe it.
This is a beautiful example, I mean, personal experience. Like my father and mother, they used to take me to temple every day. तो जब मैं छोटा था 4-5 साल का, मैं पता नहीं था क्यों जा रहे हैं, बस जा रहे हैं जी, फादर मदर ले जा रहे हैं तो चलो कोई बात नहीं. So today I can correlate that yes, it is a very important thing to do. So as parents, we have to do things which the children actually do not understand at a younger age. But as you grow up, then you understand, So why is it that you come to school, to study? You can very well study at your home. Why is it that you pray to go to a temple or a church? You can do that at home. But there are certain things for certain places. There only that effect is there. So these are the traits, and then we have to pick up as to what the child's interest is. Like, then give freedom to your child, as to what he wants to do. Be it marketing, be it finance, be it HR, be it law, whatever, and then let him excel in that field and let him correlate to the business. If it can be done. If it cannot be done, of course, he's free to do his own way. That's how it should be.
I think from the other point of view, what we should do to our elders is probably, I mean, I can say whatever I want, we can say whatever we want, but you will really learn as you go. From my point of view, the only thing that I think I could have done differently last 15 years is probably, not be overconfident about a few things that, you think you know everything, but you realize after 10, 15 years that if you could go back in time, you would have done it differently. But again, my saying this will not make any difference because we all, have certain energy at a certain point in time and you will continue to do things the way you are. So probably just to listen more and, talk a little less. That could be one of the things that, I would have done differently last 15 years.
Okay, thank you. Can I add one question here? Because we are talking about the future of family business in 21st century. The new areas of businesses, say e-commerce or big data or whole lot of things. So are these family businesses venturing into that? Are family members allowing new family members to go into that kind of a business? I mean, what is your take on?
No, again, that's I think a very good question because all of us who are belonging to old family businesses, we are king of our thrones, in our old traditional family businesses, they are doing very well, manufacturing, etc. And a new person comes, he wants to do something like e-commerce and all, something new. It's always seen as the, fancy thing to do. And also for the person who's doing it, he's probably not doing it for the right reason. Very often when we join our family businesses, it's a very modern thing to do that I want to do something different. I don't want to be involved in the old family business, I want to do something. So one should not do that for the heck of it. But again, I think there needs to be a structure wherein old family businesses, and a lot of us don't do it, most of us, 99% including ours, we don't have a firm structure of how to get into these new businesses, maybe because we don't know how to do it well enough, maybe because the family members are not interested in doing that. So there could be a professional way of doing it, but again, you need to encourage that, and it needs to be done in a proper way, because they are not like new businesses does not mean new people getting out of college doing that particular business. That's a misnomer that only someone fresh and new coming out of working from a garage can do an e-commerce business. It needs to be done in a structured manner, and I think if everyone does it together, the older family members and the ones joining it, there can be a proper way of doing it, and it should be done.
Can I ask you to?
Now, I think the question is two parts. Basically, that for the current business, it doesn't need to get into new things to survive.
Yes.
So that business itself doesn't need to have a online element and what needs to be done there. The second part is, as a family, do you need to diversify? And that, I think the answer to both those is different. But families are looking at both those aspects. Certainly the larger businesses are looking at what do they need to do strategically to remain competitive on the first market. On the second part, how do you diversify your wealth? So as personal investing, a lot of families put capital aside and are putting that into as business angels into funding startup businesses. So there are families that are very actively looking at this.
A great example is Mr. Ajin Painting, when he went into the business with that before.
People may not be able to relate to it that large, but I'm saying even small, mid-sized family businesses are putting 20 lakhs, 30 lakhs, 50 lakhs rupees aside every year to invest personally into small new businesses. And there's organizations like the Indian Angels Network, Mumbai Angels, that you can become a member of, and they will show you opportunities where you can personally invest small amounts.
Are you planning to go into the new business?
No, I think at the moment we are consolidating, as it is my father who is an automobile engineer, so he went into hospitality. We are the second generation. So I think we consolidate, but yes, of course, if there is a family member who wants to go, he or she should be given the freedom of choice. And in hospitality, there's something new happening every day. So we in any case have to keep up with the times, and it's 24/7.
E-commerce, I think, is the mantra of the day, and each one of us is related to e-commerce one way or the other. And I can just relate it to my own company. Like my daughter, she started going to the business for about 6 to 8 months now, and she has come up with this idea that why can't we have e-commerce for our business also? So I mean, I had not thought about this so far, but she made me thinking, and I told her, yes, why not? You develop something for e-commerce for your own business. So I guess this is the sort of things which all of these students can bring in new ideas, innovation, and help increase the business.
Thank you so much, Riju, Bebya, Rajiv. Round of applause for our panelists. We come to the end of this session, and we are going to start next session at 12:30. So be on time, and tea is arranged in forum. So we go for the tea break.
and I quote, "Strength lies in differences, not in similarities." I, Vidhi Goyal, welcome you back to the Family Business Management Conference. In this third session, we will stress upon diversifying business and markets. Diversification is essential for growth and prosperity of any business and is defined by a business developing new products or entering into new markets. Diversification can prove to be a risky strategy for any business. While it can help business weather tough times by providing alternative sources of revenue, acting as a catalyst for business growth, it can also end up in a catastrophe. Nevertheless, the importance of diversification cannot be overstated. Today, the panel consists of our alumni, Ms. Priyanka Paliwal, Mrs. Kirti Sachdeva, and Mr. Avikshit Saras. Ms. Kirti Paliwal started a professional journey by working as a public relations executive at Turner Broadcastings. She soon joined her family business, Paliwal Exports. In 2007, she started Acro Investments, a private investment firm. Along with the aforementioned, she is also a director at Hop Age Home Decor Private Limited, which is a Paliwal Exports Group company. It is a pleasure to have you with us, ma'am. Next we have with us Mrs. Kirti Sachdeva, who worked with Kokiva Designs Garment House for 2 years before joining her family business, Mercury Fabrics Private Limited in 2005. Tiara Diaries, a company manufacturing diaries and women-related products, is her brainchild. It is a pleasure to have you with us, ma'am. We also have with us Mr. Avikshit Saras, who is the Vice President of I Print My Things, a 3D prototyping startup and a deal chief maker at Delhi Properties. He has worked with Delhi Properties and Building Society as well as Orient Agro Private Limited. In 2010, he was appointed the Chief Executive Commercial Director at Dutch Committee for Afghanistan. It is a pleasure to have you with us, sir. Our panelists have successfully managed to focus on new ventures without neglecting their core business. By believing that diversity breeds innovation and innovation breeds business success, they will illuminate us by sharing their personal encounters. I would now like to invite Ms. Priyanka Paliwal to commence this session.
Hi, good afternoon everyone. I hope all of you are doing well. Before I start with the core theme of this session, a little bit about myself. Like many of you here, I graduated from IILM many years ago actually. Did my master's here in marketing, and ever since I finished that, I've been fully involved with my family business full time. Except for 1 year break which I took to study finance at the University of Bath, UK. So that's a little bit about me. What I currently do is I manage 2 companies. One is, of course, second generation business of home textiles. We manufacture home textiles and we export them all over the world. And second is a firm that I started myself, like she mentioned, in 2007, which is essentially a private investment firm. So that's a bit about me, and before again I start into the main core topic of diversifying businesses and markets, I think one tip that I would like to give to all of you who would be soon enough joining your family businesses, I would suggest, or I would literally urge you to work for some other organization before you actually jump into your own family business. I think what that will help you, because your family business is there for you to sort of get into, play around with, work with, grow with, whatever you might want to do with it. But if you sort of go into an organization which has, where your family has no stakes, no relation whatsoever, I would, if you can have it this way, it should not be probably even related to the industry that your family is involved with. Work for a different organization completely where you are more of an employee rather than the owner of the organization. What that will help you do essentially is, I think most importantly, it will help you understand from an employee perspective as to how one feels when you're an employee of an organization, because when you go into your family business, a large part of your profile would include managing your employees. Because you might start, somewhere in your family business, but you're likely to grow up to a management position sooner than later. And that includes a lot of management of people and of course managing employees largely. And when you understand their perspective as to when you worked as an employee yourself, be it for a small period, 6 months, 1 year, whatever you can handle, that will help you sort of treat them better and sort of handle them better. And of course in turn that will help you manage your business better as well. More importantly also what you'll do is when you do get into your business, you will realize, I think you'll have a lot more appreciation for it. Because when you're working for an organization, a large organization, I work for CNN, the news channel, what you're literally is you're involved in a big organization, which is good, you need to be an important board. But when you are in your own organization, you play a much larger role. And of course, the time and the effort that you put in, 9 to 6 or 12 hours, 10 hours, 6 hours, whatever you might want to put in, the returns are much more. So I think you will probably not take your own work for granted. So you'll have a lot more appreciation for it. But anyways, that's a little tip. And now about diversifying markets and businesses. Of course, for the longest time, the developed countries, the Americas, the Europe, they've been like military lucrative markets. They have the money, they have the purchasing power and whatnot. But I think the developing countries cannot be ignored anymore. Your China's, your India, they have a lot of purchasing power, and the BRIC nations. So I think if you've been, let's say, an India-based company that functions largely in India, it's worth looking at going outside, be it exports, be it acquisitions, buying businesses outside. I mean, there are lots of ways you can do it. But don't be restricted to one market. So if you've been largely a domestic company, I think you should definitely try and look outside, go abroad, go to different countries. Ways and means of doing this are many, many, many. There's no limit to that. And of course, if you've been export-oriented company, like we've been largely, we never used to do anything in India, it's definitely the time to start looking inwards as well. India is a big market, it's a big country, growing bigger every day. The growth options are limitless really at this stage. And with hopefully, let's not get into the political scenario, but we're hoping, I'm optimistic about the country, and I think if you're largely export-oriented company that has been working in overseas market, it's definitely worth looking at other developing countries, be it India or China, where traditionally we would not go. So that's one way, of course, of growing your markets. Second, I think how to do it would be, one very important way of doing it, or a successful way we've tested out in our own companies, is by creating different teams. What happens largely in a family business is the whole family, be it, whether they're four, mine is a very small family, we're like, just me and my brother are involved in the business from the family, rest everybody's from outside. What happens in a family business is the entire family goes into, they almost function as one team. So you'll be looking at, let's say, somebody will be looking at finance, somebody will be looking at marketing, somebody will look at production, or somebody would be looking at, like, let's say, hotel industries you'll be looking at different hotels. But largely you're all still doing, you're part of just one core company, one team. I think it's worth creating different teams. So let's say, you get people from outside. So people are managing your finance and the, marketing, whatever department they might be, get people from outside and have one family member head that team. Of course, that'll come in due course. You can't graduate from here and start doing this from day one. But that sort of a model, I think, helps you expand your family business in a much more systematic manner, much more responsible manner, much more accountable manner. So let's say you can form different companies. They can be, country specific, they can be customer specific, they can be product specific. But it's could be interesting to have one team which functions and have one family member involved with one team, rather than all family members coming in and following as one team and having lots of conflicts in the first place. Build different teams, build different companies. Even if they want to compete with each other, or they might not want to, we don't. But let there be different companies, and I think that way the group grows up in a better fashion, there are lesser conflicts, and everybody has more responsibility and accountability. A lot of things get merged, a lot of things become grays, when you don't have clear-cut responsibility, and I think it's likely to happen in family businesses. You will not have clear-cut responsibility, some things will overlap. To avoid all that, I think it might be a good idea to have different companies altogether. So that is that, and of course, I would like to speak a little bit about how to set up a new venture, which is of course another way of growing your business altogether. Try and think beyond your industry. I think most family businesses are either first generation or second generation, if not fourth, fifth, or sixth generation, and we tend to get very complacent. We're very comfortable in our, in our zone. Okay, this is what we know. This is what we've known for, 20 years, 30 years, 100 years, whatever it is, and this is what we're good at, and this is what we continue doing. But I think it's worth leaving your comfort zone and going outside and exploring other avenues. They can be, again, vertical integration and all these things are, they're outrightly, yes, they're easy to do, very in your face, but I think doing something completely different can be interesting, can be challenging, but at the same time very rewarding as well in the long run. And while you're trying to do this, I think do not ignore the earlier generation. We as a generation, we think we're very smart, we've gotten good education, and blah, blah, blah. But when you're trying to set up a new business, I think always take advice from your elders who've done this successfully, who've run this successfully for many, many years before even if you're born. Never ignore their advice. You might think, oh, you know what, this used to happen in that generation, it doesn't happen anymore. There is some business advice doesn't go out of fashion. Doesn't go out of fashion forever, hasn't gone out of fashion in the last 100 years, it will never go out of fashion. Take their advice, get them involved. Even if they don't want to, just try harder and harder. Get them involved, get your ideas, thrash them out with them. I'm sure they'll have inputs to give in which you at this stage probably cannot even think. I've experienced that myself all the time. I discuss every idea with my father before we go out and do it. And yes, it's invaluable experience, it's invaluable advice, good advice and good experience. Goes a long way. So don't ignore your elders. Of course, when you combine that advice with your energy, with your youthful ideas and everything, I think that combination when it comes in together, it can do wonders. It can take your businesses to next level, to next, many levels actually. Also, when you're trying to do this, a lot of us have big ideas, we see our Amazons and Flipkarts and Facebooks and whatnot, and we think, oh my god, these are huge. They weren't built overnight either. They did not start as you see them today. So start small. And being family businesses, a lot of us are public limited, but mostly family businesses are either private limited or not even that. Largely they're smaller so start small, test your ideas smallly. You might get a little impatient because organic growth can be a bit slow. But I think when you grow organically rather than doing 100 different things at the same time, it helps you test your idea properly in a smaller way without losing too much. Without, of course, and also it gives you time to take corrective action. So you do a little bit and then you think, okay, this is not working and this is working, let's do this better, let's correct this. So I am not a very risk-taking person, but of course you can't play too safe. But still, start small, test it out, and then don't try and sort of go 10 stairs up without taking step 1, 2, 3, 4. So step 1, 2, 3, 4, and then get on to step 10, and there's no limit to the kind of steps that you can take. So that was my little tip on growing your businesses, growing your markets, and of course, one thing I always say, we are all very fortunate to have had the opportunities that we've had, and hopefully we'll keep growing our empires, businesses, whatever. Hopefully we'll all just keep growing it, but don't forget to help others on the way. I think that's very important. A lot of us can be so engrossed in our day-to-day work and day-to-day lives and just be focused on, okay, this is what we need to do. We need to grow our markets, businesses, whatever you might like to call them. But don't forget to help others on the way, because helping others on the way again goes a very, very long way. So that was my 2 pence. Thank you.
Thanks, Priyanka, for sharing your experience and the advice with students. I now request Avikshit to share his advice with us.
Okay, sorry. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, chairperson, members of the faculty, and my dear students. My name is Abhikshit Saras. I was here from 1997 to 2000. I did my BBMS from IILM, and I'm very happy to see my previous professor, Dr. Sandhya Prakash, here for a very, very long time. After IILM, I joined the family business. Much like what Priyanka mentioned, I didn't have the opportunity to work outside, but later down my career, as mentioned in the introduction, I did head Dutch pharmaceutical company that in Afghanistan. But prior to that, I diversified into dairying. That was in 2005. And now I'm into 3D printing and real estate, so that's a bit of diversification that I've done in my career, in my business alike. But I just start by focusing, on the core topic, and that's the diversification of businesses. We basically diversified as a country, as India, in the corporate sector, primarily with a couple of historic reasons. It was pre-liberalization, as you would all know. There was dearth of licensing, which was a licensing regime, and so businesses, corporate houses got various licenses as for mining, for steel, or pharmaceutical, or you name it. Then there were large families, and each interest needs to be incorporated. So we had, diversification in the families. You got the Birlas, which are in, say, aluminium, cars, or whatever. And then we had the concept of a backward and forward integration, which led to diversification. For example, the Ambanis setting up retail chains initially, and then going into the manufacture of the fiber themselves, in addition to the processing that they did. But however, in the modern age, I feel, and we've seen big IT companies, for example, Infosys, Narayan just focused on one business, and that was IT. We've got the Puris from HDFC, which focus primarily in the financial services businesses, banking, insurance. One business, Sun Pharma, the richest man in India, Dilip Shangvi, just one business. It's not a diversified organization or a group. And recently, I was reading about Siddharth Dalal from iSure, who inherited about a dozen odd businesses from his father, and cut down systematically all businesses, sold out, and it was left primarily with two, that was motorcycles and commercial vehicles. Well, coming on to the next topic on do we have to diversify? I'm going to give you a lecture here. Your professors are best doing that. But a couple of tricks and tips and education and learning that I've had down my lane in the last about 15 odd years after IILM. I'm just sharing with you here. Check if the business, all businesses are good, but check if you are good for that business. Because it's very important that you synergize yourself with the business. You see that are you a best fit for the business? Then you've got many investors. The lead one is Warren Buffett, who says that if I don't understand a business in a minute, it's not worth doing it. There was this reading I came across Bob Sutton and Huggy Rao in a book called Scaling Up Excellence, and they talk about two very interesting topics called clusterfugs and pre-mortems. Clusterfugs is basically a military terminology. I wouldn't go into that definition. But however, it comprises of three main things, that is impatience, incompetence, and inconsistency. We see these three things as one of the key reasons why diversifications fail. And lastly, pre-mortems that they talked about, it's actually just the reverse of post-mortems. Like once the damage is over, you're actually opening up and seeing what led to the damage. So they talk about a theory called pre-mortems that check the damage beforehand, analyze a situation, how you will be 1 year after, take both the sides, the successes and the failures, and then analyze your current position. Coming on to the next strategy, I suggest that you hire the top talent of the industry. That's something which Priyanka also mentioned in her talk. With that, I would like to emphasize the fact, first of all, that make your managers shareholders so that they are more accountable for the business that they are running. In addition to the salary, they also have a profit incentive to that. I really like the model Rocket Internet follows. I'm sure you've heard of Rocket Internet here. It's a well-diversified group of businesses run by two brothers from Germany, and in India they have this portal called Jabong, which I'm sure everybody would have used. It belongs to Rocket Internet. So they have very beautiful philosophies. Two things which they aim at. One, that copy the leader shamelessly. So they copied Amazon. Second, hire the top talent from the best management or the engineering institute in the country. So it's a beautiful model that they have. So thirdly, I sincerely suggest that just keep your tab on the accounts and the finance. That's the key to any business. Just like to defer to Priyanka what she mentioned. I was talking to a friend of mine who was actually an IILM dropout. It's a big family and they've got numerous businesses running, and I asked them, how do you basically do this? So they said it's very simple. We hire professional managers. They are in charge of the businesses. We don't interfere. We just keep our tabs on the account and the finance part of it. And yes, they are to do. We meet them every quarter to discuss what they've done in the next 6 months, what they will do. If they've not achieved the results, what is the course of action, so on and so forth. It's a beautiful thing that comes from a large family based in India. And the last point is the graph that I had shared with you. It's the cash flow graph. I'm sorry, it's not visible enough. It just shows the curve. So from the point 0 is the zero cash flow position. It's just going a bit down. Just make sure that the curve is as low as possible and the blue line is as close to the y-axis as possible. You got the x-axis on the years that you're doing. And lastly, something called diversification. I recently came across this term coined by Peter Lynch. It's absolutely the reverse of diversification. And as the name suggests, that you're divorcing the business. You got into a new business, it doesn't work. I gave you a couple of examples. Nance, Escort Group, they started this retail about 20 years back and it flopped. They're not into it. Unitech Telecom, the owners went behind bars, couldn't sustain it, away from reality, what their core strength was. Bharti Retail is still struggling, burning up a lot of cash, and they split up with Walmart a few months back. And Kingfisher, of course, nothing to talk about, the king of good times. Well, that's about it, folks, and the clock says I've run off of time, and just leave you with the last line from my guru. Learn what you do for a living, and you won't have to work a day extra. Thank you so much, folks.
Thank you so much for sharing some great examples of companies who have diversified and some who have not diversified, both the pros and cons of diversification. Now I would request Kirti to please share her experience with us.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Mrs. Rai, for having me here today. To be honest, when I was first asked to share my views on diversifying business and markets and family business, all that came to my mind was, out of 12 years of experience, to share the real life story of my own company, Mercury Fabrics. Probably this would interest the school students sitting here and make it more interesting. To maintain a successful business over long term, especially over multiple generations, we must embrace innovation and constantly challenge our business models in order to diversify into new products and services. That's true. But diversification is equally important for businesses that might face severe threats once the economic times are turbulent or big competitors move in, or situations like that. Although we family businesses are famed for our nimbleness and ability to react quickly to changing times, diversifying into new products and services will always give us additional security when the times are tough. Today, I will not share any more theories with you on family business management or diversify, why diversify, how diversify, but share the real life story of my own company with you all. This might interest a few and it might inspire a few who plan to diversify their family business in future. Fast forward almost 9 years And the company, Mercury Fabrics, that started as just a knitter of fabrics and had a capacity to dispatch only 50 tons of fabrics per month, is today one of the largest fabric manufacturing companies of India with a production capacity of 500 tons a month. It is one of the few vertically integrated units with a complete European machinery setup of knitting, processing, printing, packaging of fabrics, and is awarded as the most innovative fabric manufacturer by accredited organizations. Its growth would have been nearly impossible had we have not made some key changes along the way. Having shifted the company profile from a knitter to a fabric processor and then entering the fabric printing arena, I, along with my family, have learned a lot about how to embrace changes over time and how to diversify in the right direction at the right time. That's very important. Up till 2006, a company that only used to knit outsourced yarn, fabric processing was only done on contracts. To gain a competitive edge and to become cost and quality effective, we went ahead and diversified our company by moving forward in the production cycle and added fabric processing capacity to our core business. Huge investments were being done to vertically integrate our unit back then in 2008. Like many business leaders, we too thought that this diversification will bring clear rewards to our company in terms of increased revenue, new business possibilities, but that's not what happened. But diversification doesn't always yield rewards. With it also comes the risk of failing, the risk of diluting your primary offerings, and this is exactly what happened with Mercury Fabrics in 2008. Investments were still being made when most severe global financial crisis of the economy hit the economy in 2008-2009. The year 2008, the year of severe bear markets, the year of crumbling economies, the year when the US finance giant Lehman Brothers went bankrupt, and its effects were seen on the entire Indian economy. I'm sure everyone would be aware of that situation in India. No calculated business plan seemed to be working that time. Our calculated and predicted finance cost of 8% went up to 14% within 6 months of our execution. In short, expenses were sky high and reaching break even looked unreal to us. And that's when we thought, diversify or die. But before we explored our possibilities, one thing was clear: customers' buying power was very low. And to survive, we had to maintain our old customer base and target new ones as well. And for that we had to aim customer delight and no more customer satisfaction only. This demanded giving personal attention to each customer. But was this possible? Not that easy. When the top management had to take care of so many more issues, the HR issues, the production issues, the finance issues, and so on. It's then when we diversified into new technology. We developed an ERP system. A system which controlled our business processes and focused on integrating all departments and its functions. With rigorous fine-tuning, we eventually reached a stage within a year where not even a single kg of fabric could waste and go unnoticed. This started to reduce our wastages on one hand, and on the other hand saved several human hours which was dedicated in developing new products and services. I remember that time still. The directors and the managing directors of the company started to attend customers' calls personally. Issues were resolved within hours and not days. Every single query was answered within 2 hours of receiving the same, and so on. Continuing the same, we also invested the time that we saved after making the ERP in developing new products that could appeal our current customer group. We made innovative fabrics which our corporate competitors didn't. We shifted from basic fabrics to high fashion novelty fabrics completely. We were experimental and we made a range of fabrics with blended yarns, with tri-blended yarns. We also made a range of organic knit fabrics, which was for the first time in India, me being the part of that design team at that time. And by 2011, Mercury Fabrics was the only company which was offering such diverse variety of fabrics in India under one roof. We expanded into new geographical markets later on when our company started to get a little stable. And once the core business was stable and successful, we increased our company's control over market by developing and entering an additional line of business completely, which was printing of fabrics in 2014.
Besides our core business of fabrics, Tiara Diaries, a different nature of business altogether, a firm that I started with the production of only one single product, Mom Diary, is today a wholesaler and a retailer of paper products including diaries, notebooks, filofaxes, organizers, etc. Non-availability of a product like Mom Diary in India gave an overwhelming response to my product. Within a short span of 2 years, Tiara Diaries, that was started in the name of my baby girl Tiara, is today manufacturing diaries and related product only for girls and women, and its profit are shared and is donated for the education of a girl child itself. But that's not where the road will end for Tiara Diaries. I still plan to diversify my business and add on garmenting for girls and women again in 2017 by using fabrics, which has always been my core strength since years, and I have 10 years of experience in the same. As a director in Mercury Fabrics and founder of Tiara Diaries, I strongly believe that whatever your business may be, it is very important to start thinking now about the future expansion and diversification in order to sustain when the times are tough. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kirti, for sharing your experience with us, the journey of Mercury Fabrics and how you started Tiara Diaries. I think there's a great learning for our students, to learn from real life experiences, and it's been enlightening talk. We now will start with a Q&A session, and I would like to ask the first question. So I would like to ask Priyanka. You spoke about how you should diversify to new markets. So what are some of the factors you take into account and to evaluate new markets?
I think I'm loud enough for everyone to hear me anyway. I'm usually told to sort of cut down on my tone. Can everyone hear me back there? Yes. Well, good. So, markets is easy to identify because if there is a certain product that's getting sold, there's a market there. It can be sold there, it already exists. Plus, you can always evaluate whether the current market doesn't exist, whether you can create one there or not. India is a classic example. There are things that didn't exist in India before, which maybe 10, 20 years back. We've been exporting as a company. The kind of products we manufacture, India, they don't cater to the Indian lifestyle. People 20 years back nobody uses a bath mat in India. Now it is coming to India. You can sometimes wait for the market to develop. Sometimes you can force the market to develop. So I think any market is a good market. You should know how to get in there, what to do in there, and whether it can always be done. There are people that have sold music to people who cannot even listen or whatever. I mean, people do it all the time. So you can create a market, or you can always see whether the market already exists and get in there. But so there are lots of ways of doing it, but I think any market is a potential market to test your existing products, test your new products. But every market that exists is a good market for everyone to enter. You just need to know how to do it and when to do it and how to do it properly.
Thank you, and now open the floor for questions. So any questions you have for our panelists?
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Shuchi and I'm a faculty member at IILM, and my question is to Kirti. But before I ask my question, I would like to congratulate each one of you, of course, and Kirti in specific for the resounding success of her endeavor from a struggling company to what she's brought it to today. Kirti, you've spoken about various diversification endeavors. You've also spoken about your future plans in terms of further diversification. My question to you is, what techniques or tools do you use to evaluate opportunities for growth and diversification? Is it still largely family counsel, or do you use consultants, or what other methodologies do you typically use?
Thank you for your question, ma'am. To be honest, if I talk about my own family business, and that's all I've been doing last 12, 13 years now, there has not been an external consultant to a family. It's always have been within the family, how we thought it should be, and we always decided, as I think earlier Mr. Riju said and Mr. Vishesh also mentioned, that we sit down and have a meeting and we discuss what should be our next possibilities, how to do it, and definitely, as they mentioned earlier, we had conflicts along the way. We had many conflicts, but we reached to a conclusion, which is always a consensus and a mutual decision of how, when to diversify. It's not that we haven't gone wrong with our diversification, which I discussed. We went wrong. That was a decision of one person or two person in our family. But when, after our experience, we always learned that a family decision has to be mutual. We have to take a mutual decision moving ahead for any kind of diversification, and that's, since then, we have been taking decisions within our family. No external member has been involved so far.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Would any of the other panelists like to address the question? We'll go in for our next question if there's any.
Good afternoon, my name is Ria and my question is to all the panelists sitting on stage. According to each of you, how can a diversified company build competitive advantage through its diversification strategy?
Well, I think diversification in itself, what it helps you do is it helps you spread your risk in the first place. So if you're diversified into various businesses or maybe even in the same business in different ways and means, it's a self-built-in program, diversification. So you're never exposed to, your entire business is not exposed, if something happens, the entire business is not at risk. So diversification itself, I think, helps you cut down your risks in itself. So yeah, I would think, that sort of answers the question, your itself.
Just to add to what he said, we talk about competitive advantage being built up by a differentiated product offering. No longer in the Indian corporate sector or the markets, there's any monopolistic businesses that are there. There may be a few of them, but yeah, you need to have a differentiated product. You can have a competitive advantage. That's what I might take.
Well, I believe you asked that how can you have a competitive advantage, right, when you are diversifying. I believe first, it's very important to diversify at the right time, when there is a market for your product. Second, when you're diversifying, you have to make sure that the product that you are getting into the market with is not what your competitors are already doing. You have to set up a niche for yourself. Example that I just gave, Mom Diary, which wasn't there in India, was the first of its kind that I introduced, and that's the reason it picked up so well. So to get a competitive advantage, you have to be competitive enough. You have to have something which is not already there. It's difficult, but once you find out, okay, this is the gap in the market and here's how I fill the gap, I think you have a great competitive advantage over everyone.
Good afternoon everyone, I'm Dr. Saima Rizvi, I'm faculty for finance area. You all have talked about the comparative advantage of diversification, but my question is, what are the challenges that companies face when second generation or third generation entrepreneurs, they decide to diversify into a new sector, which is not their core competency?
I think the biggest challenge which anybody would face is to get an approval from the generation that actually has created the business in the first place. I obviously come from a fortunate family because we were always given the options. You don't need to join the family business. It was always structured in a way that it could take care of itself. You were given the options to go outside work, start something new, and we started a few things. Some of them failed, some of them are doing very well. But I think that is the biggest challenge, to get the approval from, because when you are starting out, you don't have the funds, you don't have the experience. I mean, the biggest challenge is to convince that earlier generation that I want to do this, and I know I can do this well. Having said that, will they let you do it overnight? I know a lot of my friends, who come from family businesses. They've had some brilliant ideas. They've given their financial reports and everything in, but no, approvals haven't come in. And so that can be a bit challenging. And I think to overcome that challenge would be to get in there, do what the generation is already doing, show that you can do it better than them, you can grow it. And then of course, few years down the line, once you've sort of proven yourself, I'm sure they will not be that rigid about you maybe diversifying into other businesses, anything really, because you have a proven background. A lot of, I mentioned this before when I was talking, a lot of us graduate from really good business schools and everything, and we think, oh, we're so much better than the previous generation, which may or may not be true. I think to prove yourself is very important. Once you've proven yourself, the challenge automatically takes care of itself. They will be easy to, your father, be it your father, previous generation, or whatever they might be, they will not be that hard on you then, I think. I think that's the key challenge. And also, what I talked about complacency, everyone has built-in complacency in themselves. You've been doing that business for decades, for generations, you know about it. If it goes wrong, you know what to do and how to expand, you've done it. So that can be another challenge, to go out of the comfort zone. And I think that push is very important, and that more often than not can come from the younger generation. Let's get outside, let's do something else. We've been doing this. Every business has the potential to grow and grow and grow more. For example, in case of fabrics, or there is no limitation to it. You're the largest manufacturer in India right now. You'll be the largest manufacturer in the world 10 years down the lane. So there is no limit to any business, but what if you are interested in something else altogether? I don't want to talk about like my home textile. I love it, but maybe I want to do something else as well. And so I think that sort of prove yourself, and then I think that challenge will take care of itself too.
I think we don't have time for more questions. We will move on to our next session. I now invite Dr. Sangeeta Chopra and Mr. Puneet Dalmia for our concluding session, and a big thank you to our panelists for this session.
This session titled The Way Forward closely sums up the theme of this conference, the future of the family business in the 21st century. We have amongst us our distinguished guest, Mr. Puneet Dalmia, Managing Director, Dalmia Cement Bharat Limited, to guide us on how to take forward the developmental cycle of the family-run businesses. I will be adding some details to the director's address made by Dr. Vandana Srivastava in the opening session of the conference. IILM Institute is one of the leading business schools in India, offering undergraduate and postgraduate management programs. The institute started in year 1993, and today it has developed its expertise in other areas like fellow program in management, executive education, management development programs, and initiatives aligned with responsible management education and practice. This institute is the result of the vision, leadership, exceptional achievements, and the human qualities of the founder of IILM Group, Shri Kulwant Rai. In fact, recently IILM has signed a MOU with IICA, the Indian Institute for Corporate Affairs, to collaboratively work on capacity building and training. IILM has also signed an MOU with NSDC, the National Skills Development Corporation, to work on various skill development initiatives. The institute has been approved by AICTE, the Indian body to approve courses under the category of technical education. Its undergraduate programs are in partnership with the University of Bradford and Swiss Business School, offering specializations in some of the newer areas like entrepreneurship and international management. Largely, these courses provide a platform for those seeking higher education from the foreign universities. Over the years, we have seen our young graduates pursue higher education, join their own family businesses, and even become entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurship is a recurrent theme all through IILM's initiatives, a point which brings me back to this current session. I take the privilege to briefly introduce our speaker, Mr. Puneet Dalmia. Mr. Dalmia joined Dalmia Cement in year 1997 as Vice President Sales and Marketing, and in 1999 he co-founded the portal jobsahead.com. He returned to Dalmia Cement in 2004 as Vice President Strategy and Business Development. He has served as the MD of the company since year 2007. Currently, he is the chairman of ASSOCHAM's National Council on Manufacturing. He has been a member of WICCI's Executive Committee and Young Presidents Organization, Delhi Chapter. Mr. Dalmia is a gold medalist MBA from IIM Bangalore and a BTech from IIT Delhi. He is on the board of Central Square Foundation, focusing on transforming K-12 education in India. He is also on the board of trustees of Ashoka University. He likes reading management and spiritual books, playing table tennis and meditating. I now welcome Mr. Dalmia to kindly deliver his address to the audience.
Thank you very much for the kind introduction. Respected Malvika ji, Sangeeta ji, my dear students. As you all know that family-owned businesses as a type of business organization is more than 75% of the businesses are family-owned in the world. So if you look at the total GDP, 75% of the world GDP is contributed by family-owned businesses. In India, my suspicion is that the number might be slightly higher. So I think the chances are that once you graduate from college, either you will be working in a family-owned business as a promoter or maybe as an employee. So I think it's important to understand the dynamics of a family-owned business, and because it is the most sustainable and the widest form of business in the world. So what I want to do is to share with you two perspectives. One is a perspective from a personal standpoint, that if you are working in a family-owned business as a family member, what would it take for you to understand the situation and how do you succeed? So I'll share some insights from my own journey, because no two situations are alike, and they cannot be a cut and paste solution. But I'm just hoping that by sharing some insights from my own journey, it can provoke some thoughts and you can reflect on it and how it potentially applies to your particular situation. And I think the second perspective I want to share is just from a business standpoint. There is intense competition in today's world. There's a lot of disruption due to technology. The pace of change is pretty phenomenal. So what would it take for a family business to compete and survive and grow in a fast-changing world of the 21st century? So first I want to start with my personal perspective and my personal journey. I joined the business in 1997. I was fresh out of MBA college, and I went and spoke to my father, and he told me that we know how to produce cement, but we don't know how to sell it. So you've done your MBA, so why don't you go and shift to the plant? Why don't you go and show us how to sell cement? So at that time I was newly married, and we had a plant in Tamil Nadu, which was around 300 kilometers from Chennai, and cement is sold only within 300 kilometers of the plant. So there was no point sitting in Delhi where we were headquartered. So I really had to check with my wife whether she would be willing to shift, and she was very supportive. So both of us decided to shift in this place called Dalmiapuram, which is 300 kilometers from Chennai, and I was the head of sales suddenly of a cement business, a regional cement business. So one of the challenges which is there is to make sure that you can get respect from people. Even though we might get educated from great colleges like IILM or do our MBA in good schools, but at the end of the day, people who are running the business and who have run the business for 20, 30 years or decades will will have a lot more knowledge about the business than you would have. So I think it's important to win respect and understand what new you can bring to the table. So I think what I realized was that we were selling cement as a legacy brand, but there was no real freshness and newness in our brand. So we called a few ad agencies to pitch, and I could get the buy-in of the salespeople to launch 2 new brands. One brand was called Super Roof, which was a special cement for the roof, and one was for the foundation. And it was quite amazing. Our sales force told me that we have looked at everything, but we know that the roof cement will succeed and the foundation cement will not do so well. And I actually thought that we had a better proposition for the foundation cement. It was a much better product. Our ad campaign, I thought, was much more connected to the consumer. We did some research and we found out that consumers feel that this is a good product. But so I was pretty sure that actually the foundation brand will succeed as well as the roof brand. And what actually happened was that our sales force's prediction was exactly right. The Super Roof brand succeeded, foundation actually bombed. So one of the things I realized is that it is very important to build internal buy-in rather than just have external buying. And you can do all research, but if your own people are not convinced about a certain product, it will be very difficult for you to sell it. After that, so one brand was good, one brand did not do so well. Then I thought that I should present a business case for growth. So I wrote down a business plan, to say that we should invest in growing our capacity. And I went to my father, I presented it. So he told me, to do some more analysis. I did that analysis, came back. And then I told him that now it looks like a pretty attractive investment and we should go and make it. It was at that time around 500 crores of investment. And he told me, who's going to execute this? So I told him, I'm going to execute this. Then he turned around and told me, but I don't think I can back you. I said, why? He said, because you have no credibility. So I thought I was educated in a good school. I did my engineering from IIT Delhi. I did my MBA from IIM Bangalore. And I did reasonably well in academics. But he said, you have no credibility. It was a tough, it was an honest conversation. I mean, it did hurt me a little bit, but at least I thought that we are having an honest conversation. So I asked him, what do I need to do to earn credibility? So he turned around and told me, I think you should go do something yourself and prove that you can, make a success out of something which you start on your own. So I said, fine. At that time, internet was, really growing. 1999, if some of you have studied history, I mean, this was the time of the dot-com boom in Silicon Valley. And I thought that let me try something out in the internet. My father was quite generous. He gave me 2 crores at that time, which was a lot of money. And he says, I can give you this from my personal bank account. We are not going to touch the company. But if you blow it up, don't worry. Nobody's going to ask you any questions. 2 crores is transferred. Do whatever you want with it. But if you fail, you can come back and you still have a job in the family business. So at that time, I decided to start jobsahead.com with a friend of mine from IIT Delhi. And we went through a very intense experience. I mean, there were times we of course raised private equity capital, in 6 months we launched a website, and very soon we were having conversations with people to put in, literally 100, 150 crores in the company at a valuation which was like really quite unbelievable. But suddenly the market crashed. And the deals that we thought we had in the pipeline for raising money could not materialize because the world literally changed in 1 week. At that time, the NASDAQ, which is the prime exchange where these companies are listed, crashed by about 30% in 2 weeks' time. And the deal that we were planning to do in terms of capital raising actually just disappeared. So people who used to think kids wearing t-shirts and shorts are really cool and they have the best ideas in the world suddenly thought that these kids are very immature, they don't know how to build businesses, and really the perspective totally changed. And guys who would be willing to write millions of dollars of checks drinking a cup of coffee didn't even give us appointments anymore. So at that time I remember we had a customer services department in Jobs Ahead. and we had no customers, but we had a customer services department in the hope that we will get some customers someday. So we decided to basically get rid of the whole customer services department, and we fired around 20-25 people out of a total strength of 125. And we used to do exit interviews. So I remember in my office I was doing this interview, there was a girl from Northeast, and she started crying. And I said, why are you crying? Don't worry, we're a job portal. We find jobs for so many people. We'll find you a job, so you don't have to worry about it. So she says, no, I'm a paying guest in Delhi. I share my apartment with 3 girls, and I have to pay my part of the rent. And I'm very concerned, how will I pay my part of the rent? So I said, don't worry, even if there's 1 month notice here, we can give you 3 months, 6 months. You don't have to worry about it, and I'm sure you'll get a good job. So she stopped crying. And then she told me, can I ask you a question? I said, yeah, sure. You can ask me a question, no problem. So she said, I think you should get fired, not me. So I said, why is that? So she said, you have taken all the decisions which have brought the company to this level. We have really taken no decisions. So why are we getting the pain and you have no pain? So she said it's important for those who are taking decisions to be accountable for the decisions they make. And I think it was again very honest. It was a conversation which definitely was not pleasant for me. But as I went and reflected that night, I think it was a very honest and truthful conversation. So I decided that day that I will not take a salary from this company till the company becomes profitable. And not that my house was running on the salary that I was getting from JobSec, but still as a symbolic gesture, I thought that it's important for all the senior people also to take pain, and I decided that it should start from me. And then I spoke to all the people in the senior management team that this is the incident which happened, and I think it's our responsibility to demonstrate that all of us take some pain. And to my surprise, it was voluntary. To my surprise, everybody barring one person, he had just had a baby and the responsibilities had gone up. But except one person, everybody took a cut between 10 and 30% of their salary. And of course, we said that we will try and make it up as soon as we become we became profitable. But what happened was that we became profitable in literally 9 months after that. And we did a big party. We gave everybody checks with stars and stripes printed on it, glitter, all of that, you took a cut, but we're giving all the money back to you with interest, because now we can, we have the capacity to pay. And to my surprise, all the people who got this money back said that, we're not going to encash these checks. We're going to frame it and keep it forever, because this is our contribution to building this company. So what I found is that although when you impose accountability, it is little unpleasant, it is difficult, but in the end, it builds a more honest culture, and it builds a lot more commitment in yourself and the team that you're working with. So I think one of the things that I want everybody to consider is that even though you come from some of you may come from a family business where you're the owner or a large shareholder, you still have to create mechanisms around you by which you can be accountable. You can be accountable for the responsibility that you are taking, and you can be accountable for the results that are expected out of you in that situation. And I personally think that if you can put those mechanisms on yourself, then it is easy for you to demand accountability from other people. So it's a very simple thing. If you don't come on time, you can't expect other people to come on time. We can see, I've seen in the last 9 months, the work culture in the government in our country has changed, and everybody shows up sharp at 9 a.m. at work, and it is because the Prime Minister comes at work at 9 a.m. So I think if you can create mechanisms to hold yourself accountable, it's a very powerful thing, and then you can hold the team accountable and achieve a lot more commitment from the team and hopefully get better results. The second thing I want to highlight from a personal standpoint is that all of us, whenever we are in business or in life in general, we will have times where great things happen, good things happen, so it's like prosperity. And there are times when there is adversity. So there is, difficult situation in a relationship, in business, in a, new venture. So I think what I have learned in the last 17 years is that actually adversity is the biggest opportunity. That is the time which it actually teaches you much more than prosperity. In prosperity, it is more possible that you can get arrogant, you can get I don't know, हिंदी में वो घमंडी बोल सकते हैं, अहंकार आ जाता है. But in times of adversity, you can really reflect and examine how to become more humble and how you can improve in areas which you are not good at. And I think if you can create this attitude of humility and looking at yourself with a sharp microscope, I think it can create a lot of strength. So people who can handle difficult situations are more likely to succeed than people who can only handle great situations. So I think if there is adversity, which will always happen at some point in time, I would just say that consider that it's a great opportunity to become stronger, and it's a great opportunity to use that strength later on, to do even better in life. The third thing I would say is that there is one thing which you can never do enough of in a family business, and that is communication. So typically, it is true in all companies or all institutions, but in a family business, I think it is even more important. All of us have our own insecurities, our own fears, our own ambitions, our own jealousy. I think if you can create a structure where you can discuss things openly with people, again it gives a lot of strength. Whether it's your father, whether it's your brother or sister, whether it's your cousin, I think it gives a lot of strength. So I will give an example. Like I had a very honest conversation with my father saying, okay, he says you don't have credibility. Okay, fine. At that time it hurt. But then if you reflect on it, you say, okay, fair enough. He has a lot of experience. He's saying something. He definitely doesn't want to risk the company कि 500 crore का project कर लिया, debt ले लिया सिर पे, and इसके बाद you can't execute. So there can be a lot of challenges which can come on. So if you look at that perspective, and then if you can think of how you can use that situation to make the best out of what you have, it's very helpful. And what I've seen is that there is a lot of informal communication in families, but there is very little formal communication. So one of the things which we have seen work in our case is that we have formal communication, like जैसे company में board meetings होते हैं, every quarter you have to have a board meeting, but there is no systematic way or systematic platform or time schedule where you can have a formal discussion with the family. So what we've done is that we have a formal 3 p.m. family meeting on Monday, every Monday. And in that there is a formal agenda, minutes are made. So it's a much more formal discussion. उसके बाद थोड़ा informal भी होता है, but at least that puts at rest a lot of questions that people have, and it helps in building a lot of alignment. So in the new world, we are going to compete on speed. There is a lot of disruption. There is a lot of change. There is a lot of new companies which are creating new business models which will challenge existing businesses. So most of the time youngsters feel that family business processes or this informality is slowing us down. So if you have to bring speed in decision making, I think spending this time in communicating within the family is very, very important. It might require some investment in terms of time every week or every month or every quarter, whatever be the case, whatever works. But in the end it helps bring speed. And I think the same thing is valid with your team also. Whichever team you're working with, if you spend time communicating, explaining the background of why you are thinking the way you are, and giving others a chance to speak, I think it builds a lot of alignment. And that alignment eventually helps you take very quick decisions. And this is an example I can share from Japan. Japanese do this really well. Whenever they're planning a project, I think they sometimes overdo it and it's frustrating for us Indians, but it's phenomenal. If it's a 2-year project, they might spend 12 to 15 months planning the project with impeccable detail. It's all about communication. They will bring everybody together, discuss the same thing over and over again, so last detail is worked out. They will start the project after 12 months or after 15 months, and then you will see that within 9 months everything is done. Okay. यहाँ पे क्या होता है? You can start the project, everybody does, nobody knows क्या हो रहा है, and after that कुछ ना कुछ जुगाड़ करके we'll find out. That is also a way which works, you know. But I'm saying just if you want to bring speed in execution, you know, there is a lot of value in investing time in communicating with people who really matter, either within the family or professionals within your team. I think you know, one more small point on this is that it is very important to set expectations, because mostly families में the problem is people say एक आदमी के लिए एक रूल है, दूसरे के लिए दूसरा रूल है. So I will have a rule, you know, which is for the general family, but when it comes to myself, I will have some, you know, different implementation of that rule. So I think it's very important that if you can write down what are the areas where you need to have rules, have a policy on everything, you know, even before the need arises. So sometimes, you know, we may feel कि ये अभी क्या discuss करना है, ये तो मतलब बाद में सोचने का है. So I think it is very important that even before the need arises, you must have a policy, so that when the situation arises at that time, if you're discussing something, it gets colored with the real situation. Otherwise, you can have a very objective discussion. So I think on the personal side, I would just to summarize, I would say 3 things are important. One is having some way to create accountability on yourself. It is very important to use adversity in life to become stronger. And third is to use communication as a tool for creating alignment and building speed in execution. Now, coming from a company perspective, I think in the 21st century, as I said, there are a lot of geopolitical changes. The world is getting smaller. Everybody has a smartphone in his hand. You know, technology is going to create a lot of disruption. Globalization is going to create a lot of disruption. Currency movements, India will someday move to capital account convertibility. Currency movements are going to create a lot of disruption. So in this environment of massive change and intense competitiveness, how do family-owned businesses compete and survive and grow is a question. And I will just present one theme which I think will be important for everybody to consider at some point in time. I think all businesses start as a small founding group, and it is so because all those founding group members have some complementary talent. So you come together because you have trust in each other and you have talent. And I think as you grow, typically the family keeps all the positions of power. So I think at some point in time, all family businesses have to professionalize. How do you take this professionalization journey is the question that each family business has to ask themselves. And I think in this, empowering professionals is something which is very important. And I have a pretty simple model. If a company is less than 1,000 crores, you can run it hands-on. You know, but if a company is between 1 and 10,000 crores, the role of the family has to become that of a person who defines strategy. And if it is more than 10,000 crores, I think you have to start thinking of being an investor, where you have less role in management and you professionalize it in more and more. So how will you share power? At what time will you do it? How will you, give freedom to people, to attract the right talent is a question that all of us need to ask ourselves. And I think net, in the end, I would just say, 2 things. If you want to succeed, the attitude for success is focus on your responsibility and not on your rights. So if you're focused on what you can contribute, what you can be responsible for, that's an attitude that will give success, rather than saying this is my right, ye mere ko nahi mila, usliye main ladunga, usliye main jhagda karunga. I think that is not something which will help. So I think in the end, once again, thank you for inviting me to speak at this conference. You're all young people. You're going to, probably grow and develop your careers in a time which is probably going to be a golden period for India. And hopefully India is going to be one of the most important countries in the world in your lifetime. So you're educated in a great institute. You have fantastic teachers to support you, great set of peers and friends. So make the most of this opportunity and wish all of you the very best in life and good luck.
Thank you, sir, for enlightening us with your views.
And I would like to open the floor for question and answer round. So may I ask if the audience wants to start with any questions, please?
She has a question.
Sir, what is your advice for the next generation? Should they diversify or consolidate their family businesses? Basically, what path should they follow?
Hello, yeah. So I think there is no right or wrong answer. I would just say that it depends on your own context and your own passion. So my personal view is that you should follow your passion. And if your family is in a business which you are not excited about, for whatever reason, then you should think about doing something which you are, happy doing. So if you find something which you are passionate about, which you are happy about, you will do a good job at it. But if it feels like a burden every day, I think you won't do a good job of it. So I think one dimension to consider while making this decision is to look at your own passion and what gives you happiness. I think the second dimension to look at is that, and it was discussed in the last panel also, is that what is the competitiveness of your business. So there are some businesses which, due to the passage of time, may have become very marginal. They may not have the same degree of competitiveness in terms of either financial strength or the kind of team you have, etc. Or in some cases, there may be a lot of untapped potential in the business. So again, depending upon the competitiveness of the business and the future potential, that's another possible dimension to look at. But I think there's no right or wrong answer. I think net the biggest driver for me personally is your own passion, and I would say follow your heart, not your mind, in terms of deciding what to do.
Sorry, we're a little less of time, so thank you so much, sir, for the question.
Thank you, sir, for a very enlightening speech, especially the experience of starting jobsahead.com. I think our youngsters would have learned a lot from it. Okay. This brings us to the conclusion of the Family Business Management Conference 2015, organized by IILM New Delhi. Over the day, we have heard business leaders across industries speak on themes of diversification, succession, and internationalization. It has been reaffirmed that family firms remain dynamic, they remain resilient, even if there are challenges of recession or talent crunch. We can't forget that family businesses have a very important place in the economic history. They have been instrumental in the overall industrialization process, be it at the country level or at the world level. I thank our speakers, our students, their parents, delegates present here, faculty colleagues, staff members, and above all, I extend our heartfelt gratitude to our chairperson, Mrs. Malvika Rai, who has singularly been the guiding light, the inspiration, and the passion behind the workings of this event. Thank you to all. I request all to kindly rise for the national anthem.